You know, there's nothing like cracking that cellophane and pulling that record out. It just smells great.
Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Non-stop hardcore energy.
I love the show, guys. You're awesome.
Unlike any other.
With your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bod Father.
Man, this stuff rocks.
Hi, this is Nick, Andrew, and Chelsea with Horror Movies in the Morning, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Hour, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, aka the Bod Father, and as always, I'm bringing you guys and gals awesome interviews. Today, it's an honor and a huge privilege to welcome Horror Movies in the Morning, and they hail from Ann Arbor, Michigan, and they have released their debut single video entitled On My Own and video single for Fall Apart. That's also out right now. So welcome to the podcast, and please introduce you guys.
I'm Nick, lead singer, and over here we got Andrew, lead guitar, and Chelsea on bass.
How did this band come together? Let's talk about that a little bit. How'd y'all form?
It kind of started with me looking to start a band. So I looked on the internet and found this guy right here. And then her and I went to high school together and weren't really friends. But then afterwards, we kind of connected later on in life and found out that she's looking to start a band as well. So I was like, why don't you just join on with us and play bass for us?
What's the nucleus for this band that keeps it together and just keeps moving right along so far?
Me.
I think that quite honestly, I would say that would be him, because he's the one that he produces everything, mixes everything, and really gives us a good starting point. Like, I just come in, put down my vocals, he mixes them. And without him mixing them, they wouldn't sound nearly as good. So, yeah, I would say it's him, and then keeps the band going.
I will throw this out here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there's many horror bands out there. But what's going to separate this band from the rest of them? Is this going to be a horror band, or what type of band are we looking at here?
So not a horror band. I came up with the name for the band. It must have been years ago. It was just in a notes app on my phone, like a list of possible band titles. And then Chelsea and I were like, oh yeah, let's do that one. And then that's how we got the name. But in general, I think Nick covers a bunch of topics in our songs.
Yeah, we're so contradictory. The thing, Horror Movies in the Morning, it's like most people don't do that. You know, it's a nighttime thing. And with our vocals and with our real dark guitar, you'd expect some screaming or something like that. But we take real bright vocals over it. And it's real contradictory. And that's why I think it ties in real well to our name and our band in general. Like, all of us have such different influences, but when it comes together, I think the finished product sounds really good and different than from a lot of stuff I've heard.
We love contrast.
What are some of the challenges you face as a young band right now that you've seen?
I guess using it to record. That, I feel like for something me personally, I don't know if you guys feel this way though, but trying to sound like different from everything else, because I feel like everything's been done before. So like trying to find something that makes us stand out can be super hard.
Something that's been noticeably tricky, I think, for both me and Andrew is it's easier for us to write when we're by ourselves. But when we're trying to write together, it gets significantly more difficult. Yeah. We make it work, but it's definitely harder than I thought it was going to be before being in a band.
Yeah.
And I said during this pandemic, you know, young bands like yourself and all these other ones, it was even playing field for everybody. You know, I thought everybody should have been hitting it hard and getting your music out there, because that was a time to get discovered, honestly. And there was so much stuff out there, but still, it was an even playing field for everybody, I thought. Is it a collaborative effort, or does one person usually take the lead for writing? Let's talk about that with you all.
So for a majority of the songs off our first album that will be coming out later were songs that I wrote, but then Chelsea took them and was like, okay, I'm going to change up the bass parts. And then they just didn't have lyrics. So then that's where Nick comes in. A lot of them are songs that I wrote, but then we just made it rather than being a Hammy thing, it's now a horror movies in the morning.
Most of the songs off of our upcoming album were derived from parts that he already had, and I came in, and I'm glad that I have my space vocally to where I pretty much come in, I have my lyrics ready, and very little time they have an issue with it. Most times we just record, mix, and it's good to go. So I think that's probably where we have the most success, is where they write their parts and then I have time to go out on my own, write lyrics, and then come back, opposed to just trying to spend a few hours, write a few songs, and then record. We have a lot more success when we space it out.
What's been the most heated discussion, guys, the band has had about working on a song for this album, or maybe the album name or the album cover, or what's been that most heated discussion so far, possibly, if any?
We all blend really well. I don't think we've had a heated conversation.
Maybe jokingly, like we get a little heated, but nothing actually serious. And the biggest thing we argue over, and it's not even arguing, it's just we have sometimes different opinions, like names of the songs or just very little stuff. And a lot of times we come together and we'll each give like 5 names, and a lot of times we'll pick parts of each one of, you know, what we had to say, and it ends up, you know, coming out. But there's very little argument. We all come together very well.
So how excited are you guys to have these 2 songs out right now? How good does it feel to have them out? And plus, you know, seeing the response back from people checking them out, you know, cut this or cut that. How excited are y'all to see all this?
Pretty excited.
Extremely,
Yeah, it's been great. We've on Spotify, I think, surpassed 10,000 streams on both songs, so that was great.
Wow.
To see. And then it's been great to hear feedback from people I went to high school with, and people just reaching out that I wouldn't even expect, just saying, "Hey, bro, really like what you're putting out. Hope to hear more soon." And that's why we've kind of wanted to piggyback that with some more stuff coming out relatively soon. We're in the process of finishing some stuff up right now, but we've loved the response we've heard so far.
What led track On My Own to be the first song released? Because I mean, you guys have some written already, but could there have been another one that should have went out first, or no?
That's tough, because I mean, for sure it was always going to be either On My Own or Fall Apart. But I think honestly it kind of came down to, because Fall Apart, we were having trouble with the lyrics or something, right?
Yeah,
and that's why we did On My Own first.
Yeah, we produced everything ourselves and do everything. It was a struggle at first. We were recording vocals on a phone.
Oh,
and that was, and when you're recording guitar and bass, everything else directly in, and then a vocals on phone, it sounds god awful. So we work in a professional studio now, and so Fall Apart took 2 or 3 takes, whereas On My Own, we were already in the studio. And I think it only took 1 session of us just coming in, recording it. And although Fall Apart, we actually recorded first, we recorded it with on the phone vocals, and it didn't sound nearly professional enough for us to put out.
Okay, sorry. I just want to say real quick, because I'm the person who's producing it. It was never the intention to keep the phone vocals. But so what the real issue was once we went to doing his vocals professionally, trying to get him to match what we had recorded on the phone, because there was just something that was off.
There's a tone discrepancy.
Yeah. So that's
I would say.
Yeah. And I was gonna add, Fall Apart was the first song that Andrew and I wrote together. Like the first time we got together to jam, that's what we started working on. So I think we all agreed that it had a special place in our hearts. But we ultimately decided that On My Own was more of a banger than Fall Apart.
Yeah, On My Own just gets you right into it.
Yeah, I dig On My Own because I'm a huge Halloween fanatic. That's my series, man. I don't care what anybody says. I don't want to see Michael riding around in an electric wheelchair trying to kill Laurie Steele, but yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit. What made you guys want to include, the Laurie Strode talking about carving a jack-o'-lantern and stuff like that? Let's talk about that. What got that into this?
I don't know if they wanted to include it. That was all me. So Halloween's one of my favorite movies, especially the original. And before I brought my demos and songs that I'd written to them, I had a lot of samples from various movies or shows. And that was just one that I kind of pushed for to keep because I really love that movie. And I think I don't know, it kind of sets the tone for the song. Like if you know the movie, like if you've seen Halloween, and I don't know. I just had to have it. I had to have a sample, something from my favorite movie. I had to have it in there.
It's good. I'll just say that it was good. It fit perfectly in this. So don't change it. Do not change that. No. How much is written so far, guys, on this upcoming album that we're going to get from you all?
We have everything
Pretty
finished.
much done,
It's just
Okay.
now down to vocals and
recording
and like
mixing.
recording it all. Yeah, mixing.
As far as a time frame, at the latest, we'd like to have our full album out by the end of this year.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something we really look forward to. We have, I want to say, 6 or 7 recorded of 12, and that's a floating 12.
Yeah, I was gonna say don't guarantee 12 just in case.
We're deciding between 10 and 12 because we have another few that we're really strong on. They could go on something in the future as far as a single or something like that, but the end of this year would be a good time frame for us as far as when we think it'll be out.
So why go the full length route? Because I know a lot of people just put EPs out and be done with it, which I'll say this right now. I know I'm going to take heat for it, but I'm sick of EPs. I understand, because of money wise, time wise, stuff like that, they put EPs out, but I'm a full length guy. Why did you guys want to do this instead of go the EP route?
I don't like EPs. That's my opinion. I don't know about you guys.
I never even thought about it. It's not enough.
I just feel
like we have enough ideas and we can make enough songs, quality songs that we all really like to put an album out. I feel like an EP is cheating us of what we're capable of.
Oh, that's what I want to hear. Because you're right. If you're going to go half-ass on an EP, just save them. I mean, just crank out a full album. It's not really that, I don't think it's that hard. You've got enough time to put out. But again, I know time-wise, some record labels are just, you got a timeline, you got so much money to use and so much time in a studio. But nowadays, a lot of people are just doing it on their own recording and producing. So, I don't know. I like the full lengths better.
And that's where I'd say we're almost lucky right now, and because we're unsigned, and that gives us the ability to pretty much take as long as we want and do as we please.
Perfect.
We book our shows all on our own. No one's getting a cut of that. No one's getting a cut of any of our music besides us. And we're not on that time frame, and I think that's great. We'd like to have songs out as quick as possible, but in my head, not having that time frame really gives us time to perfect each track. And I agree with Chels. I think if we put out an EP that's shorting us, if you only have 5 good songs, then put out an EP, but we have 12 bangers, and every single song we think is going to have people excited for the next one. Mm-hmm. And I think that's how you build traction. People are going to be excited for the next album. When you only put out 5 songs, they get bored of listening to the same stuff over and over.
Anything on this album that might shock anyone that may have been following you guys for a while now?
I think there's a song that we're actually hopefully going to be done with today that is very horror movie-esque. That will shock maybe a little bit. I don't know. I just feel like it's definitely different from the rest of our songs. There's no title for it yet, but officially anyway. But yeah, they'll have to just wait to the album to hear it.
For me, I think people will be surprised of just how heavy it is, especially from my past. Everything I've released previously on my own, no pun intended, has been all acoustic, real chill 60s 70s Americana stuff, and then I go with these guys and release a full-length metal album. That's polar opposite. But I think that'll surprise a lot of people.
Do you feel this album has to come out swinging for you guys to step over others, to get out there more, or no?
No, not at this point. I don't know. I feel like at this point it's kind of whatever we want to do, what makes us happy. But maybe later on down the line, as fans accumulate, then we'll have to worry about that. I don't know. What do you guys think?
I feel like the fact that this is a dream for all of us individually. I think that's kind of at the core of when we're writing and why we're writing, and not so much worrying about what's going to happen after we write it. And I think having that attitude when we're approaching writing leads us to writing something that we really love anyways, and that ends up being a banger anyways, just because we're all stepping into it with the right attitude.
What do you hope everyone takes away while listening to your music and this album that drops later on? What do you hope they get from it?
Our passion, like the fact that I'd say we're trying a little bit to be different than everyone else, but when we write it, it's not like we make a point of it. It just comes out that way. I think that's what's great about the three of us together is just everything we write. In my opinion, at least, it sounds different from everyone else. And there's elements of rock, elements of metal, elements of grunge. There's elements of a little bit of everything. And I think that's what makes us so special. We didn't want to come out and sound like a cover band or sound exactly like someone else. Throwing no shade to anyone in specific, but there are a lot of bands that come out like that. We want to have our own image. We're horror movies in the morning.
What's the musical growth that you've seen in each other that kind of shocks you guys?
I teach music for a living, so I'm very in tune to the side of musicians that like take like the more structured route, I guess, and like are like classically trained in their instrument, which is how I grew up. But Andrew is self-taught and he's really good at what he does. So I guess seeing like my side and his side, like either path to learning your instrument works really well. And I'm not used to self-taught musicians that are as good as Andrew. So that's something that's been surprising for me.
Yeah, I've seen, not to be cocky or prissy, but I've seen a lot of growth in myself. When I first started with these guys, I was so freaking nervous to
That's what I was saying. I was going to be you got more confident
to do anything, and now I'm up there doing this action and excited to show what I have, and I'm excited. We got 2 gigs next month. Blind Pig on the 7th in Ann Arbor, Flint Local on the 23rd in Flint, Michigan. But I'm actually excited for those gigs. I haven't been on a stage in a few years, opposed to being so overly nervous. I think that's just part of the growth. We've been jamming for 4 or 5 months now, and now we're to the point I think we're ready to go out and rock and play some shows. And like she said, just we're not focused on the next step. We're just seeing where this step takes us, going like that. You know,
So what made you so nervous, man? I mean, you're used to doing this. Was it just because you played so much, just wrote your own stuff and just finally getting with people?
Yeah,
I mean, I was gonna say, yeah, you definitely. I mean, we're strangers who met on the internet, essentially. So he was probably scared, like, is this guy gonna kill me? Or
yeah, that's the case. And all the stuff I released previously, when I was just doing stuff in my own, recording in my room, I never actually took that and played any live shows, did any marketing, anything like that. I was just content with having my music out on Spotify. And so when I did that and took that from going to a group, and then I was in that group and we were pretty much just a jam band. We weren't going anywhere. And then I went from that. I was just a rhythm guitarist. I had Andrew reach out to me to be lead vocalist. That was a big change, but that's my dream, is to be a vocalist. I take great inspiration from people like Freddie Mercury, Bob Dylan, John Lennon, people like that. So I've always wanted to be a front man, but it just never worked out until I met these two.
I know you guys had a lot of music growing up, and I know you still have a lot to this day, but do you still have a go-to album or just a song that you find yourself going back to and listening to from time to time that you cannot kick out and you will not kick out?
Yes. Well, so last year, I think my Spotify thinks I can speak Japanese, so it's kind of recommending Japanese music to me. And there's this one band, they're called Otoboke Beaver, and their second album, Itekoma Hits, is like every single song on that album is bangers. I will always listen to it. I'll never get tired of it. That's like a special place in my heart.
If we're talking about album, definitely Korn's Follow the Leader. Like, I can't think of another album that has changed the history of music, especially in the rock genre, more than that album. And so it's something that you can always go back and listen to and hear something new. I just love it.
I can't single out an album or a song, but anything Queen. Ever since I was little, I've been a huge Queen nerd. I've seen Queen live, all those with Adam Lambert, so it'll never be the same as seeing it with Freddie. I've seen like 4 cover bands. And I've always aspired to be like a tenth of what Freddie Mercury was. Although Chels sometimes reminds me I'll never be Freddie Mercury. I can at least try. So for me, it's got to be Queen. Just the way he went up on stage and could command 80,000 people at the palm of his hand, and had a range like I think like none other, was just amazing. And to watch videos of it gives me goosebumps.
She's killing your dream, bro. She's killing your dream. All right. So if you guys could be a member in an iconic band and play one of their legendary shows, which band would it be and what show would it be? It doesn't matter what era, does not matter.
Mine would be Korn at Woodstock, even though it was supposed to be like the most miserable show to be at. Just being like watching videos of it, and then you see like the literal waves of people. I'm like, I guarantee there's no better feeling than being on that stage. Or really any band that played Woodstock 99.
Well, I'd hate to have been in the right though when, Limp Bizkit got that started, and Be Green Day, they got mud and crap thrown at them.
Maybe any other band but Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
Mine would have to be Queen, and it's going to be the Live Aid set. That was the most memorable. It was like 20, I think it was 23 minutes. Don't quote me on that, but it's somewhere in that range. And it was just, I think, the most memorable set in rock history. They weren't even supposed to be in there, but they got squeezed in. And just to be on that stage, and I would probably take Brian May's part. I'd be lead guitar just to rock the Bohemian Rhapsody solo in front of Wembley. Would be absolutely surreal. It'd just be amazing. But yeah, mine would be Queen at Live Aid.
That has been mentioned on here so many times. Queen Live Aid.
Probably get sick of it.
No, it just proves it. It's iconic. I mean, it doesn't matter what genre, what color, what flavor you are. It does not matter what you are. Rock, metal, bluegrass, country, rap. That has stuck out a lot. Seriously.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind. Blows my mind. All right, Chelsea, what you got?
I have always pictured myself playing with System of a Down.
Okay. That's a good one.
Songs, any set, because I think playing their songs feels different than playing other metal songs, because they're all like really rhythmic, but they're not like poppy. They're catchy, but they're still like heavy. And I think the mix of those things it would be really fun to play with them.
Finally, System of a Down has been mentioned on here. Finally. Yeah, I dig System of a Down. I wish they would get back together and do something.
I think they came out with a new album or something recently. But my timeline's all messed up, so it could have been like years ago.
Like a decade ago. You're like, oh, it just came out.
Yeah, it just came out 6 years ago.
Their new album came out 10 years ago. Oh, yeah. It's like Pennywise. I'm a big Pennywise fan. I thought Pennywise had a new album out this year. No, last album they had was in 2020. I was like, I need to recharge my batteries and get caught up on some of this stuff. So, All right, so we're looking at later this year for this album to drop for you guys?
Yeah, probably late summer, early fall, maybe, hopefully.
How can folks stay in touch with Horror Movies in the Morning? Find out all the information that they want to, these 2 singles, everything. How can you do that? And plus your tour dates that you're going on.
So the easiest way would probably just to go in your browser, horrormoviesinthemorning.com. That'll take you to our website. You can go to our Spotify, Apple Music, all that there. Another good way, go to Instagram. If you go to Instagram, you'll see our link tree, and we have tons of posts about our upcoming show dates. And on our link tree is where you'll actually see tickets to our upcoming shows. The Blind Pig one, you can buy tickets online. And the one at Flint Local, tickets are at the door. But you'll see information about all that on our basically Instagram, Linktree website.
Before I let you guys go, would you care to do a promo for my show?
Sure. Hi, this is Nick, Andrew, and Chelsea with Horror Movies in the Morning, and you are listening to BODS Mayhem Hour, and thank you for having us.
Everybody stick around. We got some great stuff coming up. You only hear these interviews right here on BODS Mayhem Hour. Please get out, check out our Facebook page and our podcast link. And you definitely want to subscribe to that podcast link because, hey, if you like what I do, I would tremendously appreciate it. And YouTube, you gotta subscribe to YouTube. That's the thing now, not TikTok. It's YouTube for me. Check out Horror Movies in the Morning. Check out the 2 new singles I got on my own, and Fall Apart. You won't be disappointed. Give these ladies and gents a fair shot, and I'm sure you guys will dig them. So thank you guys so much for doing this interview, and I wish you guys nothing but the best of luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us on.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.